Welcome to this week's End of Days Update, coming to you from Tulsa, Oklahoma. We had a great time last week in our home church here in Tulsa, World Outreach. Man, good to be with home folks. Great services to be where people are hungry. Then after that, we went over to Alma, Arkansas, had a wonderful time there. Great church, hungry people. People are recognizing every week how close we are to the coming of the Lord. And if you're anywhere near the Wayne City, Illinois this weekend, we'll be at Church of the Harvest. We'll be there Sunday morning, Sunday night. We'll have a great time. And we'll get into the Word as well. It seems like it still shocks me every week when I get to a church and the excitement of people noticing that the Lord's coming back. It seems quiet, but the more we go, people come up to me and go, wow, I can tell. I look at all the signs, I look at what's going on in the earth, and it's blatant. And that's what the End of Days Update is all about, how to show how flawless the signs are and where we are in time. You know, because if you see where you are in time, you'll know how to act. And that was the whole reason Jesus had the tribe of Issachar. If you had an understanding of the times, you would know what the children of Israel ought to do. So he dedicated one whole tribe to keep up with time. Because everybody has a thought pattern, I don't need to know anything about that. You have that feeling even right now. People are like, why would you preach on end times? Well, it's a hustle theology, not an escape theology. I love college football, and this last weekend I was screaming at the TV. This one quarterback was not looking at the play clock, and I'm like, ah! And Colleen goes, no, Joe, they can't hear you. But I try to get them to hear me. But that's what the End of Days Update is all about, is looking at that play clock countdown so you make changes, you make adjustments. You can make mistakes and drop the ball at the beginning of the game, but when you got 5 seconds left, you got to go for it. And church, these signs show us that we'll get into, and when we see what's happening around Israel, it shows us literally we're about to see the King of Glory. Wow, about to see Jesus, the one who died for us, gave his life, and was raised from the dead. So let's pick up with what's happened around Israel this week. There's a huge push for getting ready for another retaliatory strike by Iran. This is how Iran is getting ready for it. This really intrigued me. Iran is building an underground tunnel into the city center all the way to the Khomeini hospital, knowing there's going to be so many casualties, they got to figure out some way to get people from there to the hospital. Because it came out even this last week, what they're doing is not only bringing their bombs from down below up to get them ready, there's a full-scale operation from hauling them from the basements down to get them up to where they are. And when our satellites saw that, they thought, well, Iran's getting ready to do some crazy stuff. But Iran's going beyond that. They just found out this last week, came out, that Iran has been making chemical weapons. So they got a whole new set of chemical weaponry that's so powerful, it said it could take out a whole group of infantrymen within seconds. Even way, way worse than World War I. You know, World War I was known for chemical weapons. So something crazy is going to happen with Iran, because you had Israel do another airstrike outside of Damascus, and usually they don't take credit for it. They instantly took credit for it because they want everyone to see Israel's having to do whatever it can to stop these other countries from killing them. With that, you know, you had last week, you had 160 rockets one day, you had 170 rockets from Hezbollah. You had just earlier today, you had 6 Israeli soldiers get killed by rocket fire in northern Israel. So it's not letting up at all. You see the international community pushing on Israel, you got to do a ceasefire. Well, Israel keeps offering a ceasefire to Hamas and to Hezbollah, and they won't do it. Why won't they do it? They want to keep firing at Israel. This is how weird Hamas is. Israel goes into Hamas territory in Gaza and then goes into Hezbollah in Lebanon. This last week in Lebanon, they went to seven different locations that were houses. Underneath the houses, stockpiles of weaponry, so much they said Israel could start its own infantry division from tanks because of all the stored missiles underneath houses. I tell you what, in other nations, you don't have missiles stored underneath houses, but of course you have Hezbollah that wants to annihilate Israel. And then you have all these world leaders try to come to Hezbollah's aid. You had France, Macron offer $100 million in aid to Lebanon, which we don't want the people of Lebanon to hurt, we want Hezbollah to hurt, because basically the people of Lebanon have been hijacked by Hezbollah. So all these things are pushing, ratcheting up to a final showdown. I mean, you had the Euphrates River run dry recently because the Bible says the kings of the east will come through there. You had water show up in Petra, where the cliffs are there. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. When there was no water anywhere there, and now water's pouring out of the side of the rock, so they'll have a water supply there. Why is that a big deal? Midway through the trib, The Antichrist is going to come into Jerusalem, and he's going to say, I'm God, and he's going to try to attack and kill all the Jews. They're going to run as fast as they can and get to Petra for safety. So everything's setting up for all that. I mean, there's Russia this week put hypersonic missiles in frigates in the English Channel, and they put tons of them. I mean, you got tons of Russian boats in the English Channel with hypersonic missiles. Well, last week I didn't talk about it a lot, but America issued B-52 bombers, sent them to our group in the Middle East. Why? Iran is firing missiles. They fired 11 missiles at our base in Iraq this last week. Finally, America retaliated, but they didn't do really what they could have done. They need to send a clear message, you bomb us and we're going to take you out. So Iran's doing all that. You've got China doing what they're doing. You've got North Korean troops in Russia. You have Putin. Everybody goes, well, there's going to be a standoff between Putin and Trump. Well, Putin, this is what his answer to that was. He goes, I got 50,000 more troops I'm going to put right in here. And technically, you have Russia, China, and Iran coming to, and North Korea going to war with the rest of the world. So, man, it's playing out exactly like the Bible said. There's different signs in the heavens you see every week. I hear all the earthquakes that are happening. You had radical solar flares. There was another talk about the asteroid, the God of Chaos asteroid in 2029. It's going through earthquakes and it's getting pushed and altered. It'll probably get pushed and altered where it would actually hit the earth. There's been little meteorites hitting the earth the last couple of weeks, and there's no news about it at all. You got to go to NASA's site to even find out about it. Even some of the larger asteroids you have to go to find out. So these are days of all the things in the Bible that said would come to pass, and it's right now. So let's always go to the Word. All these things come and go. I don't need a sign. I have a witness in my spirit. But the Lord's so sweet. He does all these signs because He loves you. He wants to bless you. He wants to encourage you. He's not mad at you. So we go to the Word to find out what it says. Number 1, Israel made a nation. Number 2, Jerusalem won back. Jesus said the group that sees that, that's the one I'm coming back for. But then you got the Hebrew language restored. You got the Ethiopian Jews brought back. You got the fertility of the land of Israel. You got the revival of the Roman Empire. You have the archway for Baal worship got rebuilt in Palmyra so that they could have Baal worship right where the Tower of Babel was. Well, the Talmud says that's the last sign you'll see before the Messiah comes. You had foxes on the Temple Mount, fish in the Dead Sea, you had 172 different species of predatory birds. In the Dead Sea, you had it turned blood red where Sodom and Gomorrah was on the Day of Atonement. So you've got fish in position, birds in position, foxes in position. You had the ritual baths around the Temple Mount fill up with water, first time in 2,000 years. So all these things preach to us. It's communicating to us. Signs are there to show you where you are. They're not to scare you, but it's blatantly telling us we're about to see the King. What do? We help our local church. We help our local pastor. We're engaged. We don't fit church into our life. It is our life. But then you got tons more signs. I mean, it's myriad. I like really one of my favorite ones is Bishop Malachi from the year 1129 AD. He was on the History Channel. And he had a vision of every coat of arms for every pope that was going to be on the earth all the way up to the coming of the Lord. Now, the coat of arms for each pope was very detailed. He got it correctly 114 out of 114. You know what the History Channel said? That's statistically impossible. Only a God can do that. That's exactly right. What pope do we have right now? The 114th. So you've got sign, 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 sign. And then you go from signs to signals. You had the blood red moons on Passover and Tabernacles 4 in a row. That's remarkable. God saying, I died for you, I'm coming back. I've died for you, I'm coming back. How kind of the Lord to make it blatant like that. But then after that, you had the Bethlehem star. You have Jupiter, Regulus, Venus coming together. You had Regulus, King star, do retrograde motion, go backwards and crown Jupiter. So those all happened at the birth of Jesus. I mean, what was the constellation? Leo. He's the Lion of the tribe of Judah. No, I'm sorry, Virgo. And this last year when it happened again, the constellation was Leo. He's the Lion of the tribe of Judah. So the earth is getting ready for the entrance of God Himself, Jesus. The one that said, it is written. The one that said, he said, he saw. He said, he saw. He made everything that you see, Jesus of Nazareth. It pleased the Father that in Him would all the fullness of the Godhead dwell bodily. So soon we'll get to honor Him get to magnify Him, get to glorify Him, because we're about to see the King. Come back this next week. We'll see what's happened with Russia's hypersonic missiles in the English Channel. We'll see what's happened with Iran. The Houthis even got hit again. Don't have time to get in all of that, but there's a bunch going on with the Houthis. They're crazy, and they want to attack Israel. So you're on the stage of the Bible coming to pass right in front of your eyes. Have a blessed, wonderful week. We'll see what happens this next Wednesday.
Thanks for joining us today at the End of Days Update. If you'd like to be notified every time there's a new post, just go to the EDU at josephmorris.com and subscribe to receive email alerts. If these posts and updates have been a blessing to you, please consider making a one-time donation to help get the message out, or even becoming a monthly partner with Joseph Morris Ministries. Thanks again for tuning in to the EDU, and we'll see you next week.